a 296 million gold mailbox opening. That's what we're looking at today. In this video, you are going to see the full 296 million gold mailbox opening, although it will be fast forwarded a little bit because the whole thing would have taken like 30 odd minutes if I'd run it at normal speed. And in addition to that, I'm going to tell you exactly how I made all of this gold in the War Within so far. Every gold making YouTuber near enough seems to do these mailbox openings at some point, so I thought I would give it a go. Now, I've never really tried and pushed for and thought, how high can I get this? How much can I do this? I've done the odd one that's been like a week or something like that, but I've never really pushed and thought, how much can I get in a mailbox opening? So that's basically what this is. Now, this 296 million gold mailbox opening looks pretty awesome, but I'm sure it's pretty much going to be sort of nothing compared to what you're going to see coming from elsewhere in the gold making community soon. Every single day, there are gold makers out there who are putting out content about the things that make them millions of gold sort of every single day. And you know, I can't compete with that. So I'm sure if I can do this, they're going to be putting out some absolutely ridiculous mailbox openings soon, because obviously I can't put out videos of things that I do every day that make me millions of gold. Like, their mailboxes are just going to make me look like a complete amateur. And that's just from what they put in their YouTube videos. In their guides, which is all sort of all the secret gold making stuff, then that could be at a completely different level. So, like I said, this is my mediocre 296 million gold, but I'm sure you're going to see some absolutely huge mailboxes coming soon. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about sort of the professions I used to make this gold, what I did, etc., etc. But I don't want to go into masses and masses of detail. And the reason is because all of it's been talked about before. So, for example, I did a video about sort of crafting for a profit, but it's 17 minutes long. But I don't want to go through that whole 17 minutes again. So what I'll do is, quite a few times in this video, I'm going to talk about stuff, but I'm not going to go into massive detail. But I will link the video that does go into more detail so that we can keep this video to a reasonable length without it being an hour long. And if you guys want to look into those other things in more detail, then the videos will be there and you're more than welcome to check them out. So as you can see here, as the mailbox opening is sort of getting underway, you can see here that all of this is stuff that I've got from professions. So none of this is found myself. This is all stuff I've bought off the auction house, crafted for a profit, and then sold on. So with inscription, I buy the herbs, I will turn those into pigments, turn the pigments into inks, turn the inks into boundless ciphers, and various other things. Now I'll be selling these sort of all levels to make the maximum profit basically that I can at any one time. Tailoring's made me quite a lot of gold, especially early on in the expansion. It was basically a unraveling character, so it's just making spools. Now recently I have managed to get it to a point where it can actually craft bolts as well, so it's been doing both of those. So as you get further and further into the mailbox opening, then you start seeing the bolts in there as well as just the spools that I was sort of selling off early in the expansion. Alchemy is basically, I'm just mass producing mostly rank 2 tempered potions, and I'm also producing rank 3 health potions as well. That's basically been the 99% of what I've sold. There are the odd little things that I've sold on top of that as well, but that's basically it. Hoping to get sort of rank 3 tempered potions. They should be unlocked next reset, so I'll have those to sell then as well. Jewel crafting was primarily a prospecting character, and that's basically what it's been doing for basically the vast majority of the time in this expansion so far. Recently, I have unlocked crafting rank 3 flasks, so now it's started doing quite a lot of that as well, and that's really helped get in the production process so I can sort of prospect, craft the rank 3 vials. Those rank 3 vials are then used by my alchemist to create rank 3 potions. So it's really nice to have that full production process in action there, because it sort of saves you a lot of gold in your crafting costs, so you make more profit basically. I also have engineering. I've not really done anything with War Within engineering. Just released a video the other day about how I'm making all my gold from Dragonflight engineering and sort of all the sort of dodgy things you can do with the crafting stats there. So that'll be the first video I'll link in the top corner at the moment and in the description below. about using sort of the dodgy Dragonflight stats, using war within sort of profession gear and stuff like that to be able to craft, and that's made me sort of a lot more money than the war within engineering, which is quite a funny situation to be in at the moment, really. Now, if you want my full profession setup, builds, all that sort of stuff, I did a video on that and talking about why I've done certain things. So those detailed builds, etc., and a discussion about it, that'll be the other video I link, once again, in the description below, popping up in the top right now, if you want to give that a check out, and you can see exactly the builds I used to do this, rather than me having to talk about it for 20 minutes now. So the question I get asked all the time is, can you start a crafter now and still make gold? So I started a crafter for the video I did about catching up as a crafter in this expansion, and I was able to start a crafter very, very quickly. Well, I say very quickly, it's quite a time-consuming part, but it's time-consuming as in you can grind it out and it's not time-gated. So it is a bit time-consuming in that sense, and you can grind it out and you can get very good profession progress to the point where you can craft for a profit extremely quickly. And I know that because I did it this week. Now, the video about doing that catch-up, once again, top right, description below, the video about that catch-up involved farming huge amounts of art and acuity and then using that to sort of turbocharge the profession and get all the rare profession gear and stuff like that. So I managed to do that, and I created a second inscription crafter, and I was able to craft rank 1 stuff, and it turned it into a bisque crafter, basically. So I can craft rank 1 stuff as good as anybody else, even though this character was created like starting professions like a day or two before, something like that. So it is possible to craft for a profit this expansion, but in particular, I really think you need to take advantage of vertical integrations. So that's sort of doing all levels of the crafting yourself. So with sort of the inscription example, it's sort of turn your herbs into the pigments into the inks into the boundless ciphers, that sort of thing. So you turn it to a point where you have a bisque crafter for all of that, and you're going to make much more gold being able to do all of that yourself. Now, I do talk about that and other tips for crafting for a profit in a competitive environment. Once again, video in the description below and popping up in the top right now if you want to check that out as well. But the main part of it is not buying sort of stuff off the auction house that isn't a raw material. You basically want to be buying the raw materials and doing all the processing yourself to get as much profit as possible. As much as I have warned people away from doing crafting, then I've seen myself that I was able to create a profitable crafter in a, like I said, it took some grinding, but as in time gated wise, it wasn't time gated. So you can just sit there and grind it out if you really want to. But for the amount of profit that you can craft for the amount of effort it takes, I still don't think it's worth it. If you really want to be a crafter, then go for it, because you can do it. I'd say it's probably doable with a lot of professions. It's not doable with like alchemy, because the knowledge requirement's too high and you're too far behind on that one. But on most of the others, then I think it's doable. But like I said, unless you really want to be a crafter, then you are much better off running the concentration build, especially the concentration build I did on my last video, where I said I called it sort of a concentration plus build, which was a bit more effort to set it up and a bit more gold to set it up. But it was sort of 300 to 400,000 gold a month for having one profession on one character. And that's crazy. Like, why are you sat there messing about crafting for tiny profit margins when you can do that? So when I did most of this video, this mailbox opening, then my crafting profit levels were sort of much higher than they are today. I was crafting a lot of this at sort of 20, 25% profit margins. So what you see here, say 20, 25% profit margin on a sort of almost 300 million gold, then you're talking sort of maybe 16 million gold profit here. Nowadays, this would be like 15 million gold profit. And that's why I'm sort of, even me, with my already set up bisque crafters, is starting to think, is this actually worth it anymore? Because when you see these massive crashes in the market, people are losing like huge amounts of gold from having crafted materials tied up as prices come down. And so crafting becomes risky. And then you have these concentration build setups where there's literally, you don't have that risk. And the amount of effort and stuff like that it takes. It's just, yeah, it looks great doing a 296 million gold mailbox opening. But it's just not practical and not worth it for the majority of players. Honestly, if you want to do the profession catch-up, then that's the video in the bottom left. If you want to do the crafting for a profit, that's the video in the bottom right. But I suggest sticking with the concentration builds. That's the video in the top left, and especially that new concentration build in the new video that I did recently. Just honestly, so much better than messing around with crafting. But if you want to give it a go, give it a go. Right, guys. Thanks for watching anyway, and I'll see you next time.